Welcome, everybody. This is the Kitsap Literary Association of Washington, and it's our monthly showcase for authors. And I'm your host, Ingemar Anderson, and tonight a local author and writer, Peter Stockwell, is visiting us from Kitsap. And he is here to share current and past literary works and endeavors. So welcome, Peter Stockwell.
Well, it's nice to be here.
So, tell the viewers, tell us a little bit, why and how did you become a writer?
Well, I had voices in my head that kept telling me they wanted out, so I decided I'd better get them on paper and stop going insane. This was before I retired from public school teaching in Bremerton, and decided, hey, I've got to have something to do in the future when I out of the classroom. So I decided, I've got a book in my head. You know, like they say, everybody's got a book. Well, I had one. So I wrote it. And that became Motive.
That became a motive to write?
No, that became Motive, the book.
That was your title.
Yeah,
very good.
Was the title of my first book.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So how many books have you written?
I have written 4, and I'm working on the 5th one currently. It should be out this fall.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what you're currently working on. I would have a question that's not in the script, but I really like to know, you decided to self-publish in the pure sense because you don't have any, organized publisher really that, works on your books, the printing part, or so you orchestrate that all yourself. Is that
right?
Tell us about that?
That's the one organized publisher I do have is me.
You're
I do not have one of the big companies. I don't have one of the vanity presses. Mm-hmm. Yes, I formed my own publishing company, and then I put that to work. And I did have a company that's over in Kenmore that I was working with, and they found me the cover designers, the editors, the interior design, and they put my book out for bid to get print. And once I accepted a bid, then we sent the materials to that printing company, and they printed whatever I asked for, 500, 1,500 books. And they sent them off to the distributor, which was Partners West, down in Renton, Washington. Mm-hmm. And then from there, my books were then put in the catalog, and their sales force went out to the various bookstores and sold the books. Mm-hmm. So then the bookstores would order from Partners West, and we'd be set up, and then I'd go out and do readings and do interviews, and it was fun. It still is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of your own, that's your profession now, you could say.
Right.
Kind of. Yeah, it's a full-time job. And I was also wondering, where do you obtain your ideas for new books, for your stories?
You know, out of little seeds can come a great mustard bush, to quote something from the Bible. Mm-hmm. And that's usually what happens. Matter of fact, a few years ago when I was working in the classroom, I had a young lady who said, and this was just the time when Motive was coming out, and I had a young lady who said, I want to be in one of your books. And I said, well, fine. Do you want to be the victim or do you want to be the perpetrator? She thinks, she says, I think I want to be the perpetrator. I want to be the killer. And I said, okay. So I went home that night and wrote her a synopsis. And it started out basically with, Lacey Johnson was a beautiful, intelligent, talented, very popular high school senior who had a dark side. And that was it. I mean, that was basic, first line of the synopsis. Went on to tell more about who she was. She just thought that was great, that she could become a character in a book. And that's how quickly one can create a story. Mm-hmm. You take something that's happening, and my current book, for instance, is about a cruise ship. And 5 or 6 years ago, I was writing synopses, and I wrote one about a cruise ship. And now I'm putting it to work. And I have about 15 to 20 synopses for books. Mm-hmm. That I haven't fleshed out or anything. It's just the idea, that the germ of an idea is there.
So you write your synopsis first before you write the book?
Right. I write a synopsis of the book, mm-hmm. Of what the story can be. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that my original synopsis will end mm-hmm. up being the final book. Mm-hmm. things change a great deal in this business.
Cool. So I was wondering about, your flavor for other authors. Do you have a special style that you like authors use, or your own style? How does that work for you?
Well, I hope I'm creating my own style and my own following, but there are other writers that I do enjoy reading, and I have an eclectic from the literary type that, like The Goldfinch, which I've read, to the thrillers, like Steve Barry and John Land produce. And in our own city here, or in our own area here, Ed Bob Dugoni and Kevin O'Brien do. And so I follow them. Kristen Hanna is another one, but her books are not thrillers, but they're very, very good books. And so, yeah, I read all the time.
Yeah,
And
reading
from
is part
that-
of writing.
From that, you get ideas, and nothing new under the sun. So we borrow from other writers and then change the stories and put in our own characters, our own ideas and such. It happens.
Yep. Do you co-write with any other authors? Maybe?
I haven't done that, no. I do know some people who have, but I don't plan to do that.
Would you recommend doing it? What's your...
You know,
take on
if
it?
somebody, Brad Thor did it with James Patterson, and he wanted to get his name out there, so
Right.
he became, and Stephen James, they did that. Lincoln Childs and Doug Preston collaborate all the time. Their books are always the two of them writing together.
Interesting.
John Land collaborated with a book.
Right.
I read it. I thought I could see the different styles of writing between the two authors. That sometimes is something one has to be careful about.
Careful because
Then when you're changing points of view and the style of writing changes, to me it's a distraction a bit.
Okay, yeah. What do you think about ghostwriting?
I haven't done any of that. I've approached a couple of people about their stories and getting me notes, and then I would write their story for them, give them credit for it. But we haven't done anything so far.
Well, yeah, mostly ghostwriters are when there's a story ghost written, it's mostly, somebody who doesn't have the time, like maybe public figures.
Or they don't have the writing skills to do it.
Or the skills, exactly. But they have an idea, or they have a story to tell.
Right.
From
They have a
their
memoir,
life.
they have
Memoirs,
an idea.
Right.
They get somebody to write the book for them. They go through the edit process with it, make sure it's the way they want it, and yeah. But
Good.
no, I haven't done any ghostwriting.
Yeah. And tell me one a question that I always want to ask as a publisher. Why do you write? Or why did you write, for example, the book Motive? Why did you write the book?
Well, as I said, I had a germ for an idea of something that was in my family history that I wanted to expand upon. And so I just took that little piece of evidence and carried it forward into a big book. Now, what happens in the book is not what happened in real life. But, as I say, you get an idea somewhere, and then you apply that to a storyline, and you build a story arc, and you develop characters, and you put scenery together, and the dialogue, and pretty soon you've got a book, and all these people become real. And then they, surprisingly enough, they start writing the dang book for you. Yeah, they will take over.
They will take over.
They will take over.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
you get some strange things about ideas you never even thought of that all of a sudden just pop up. You say, oh, that's good. And you put it in the book, and it works. And so you keep it. You might have to change your storyline a little bit, your story arc a little bit to make it fit, but you do it because it's so good. And
So basically the characters develop in your head and become like real life characters. For
right,
you.
they are
talk to you.
real characters. I was on a panel at the International Thriller Writers Conference, Thriller Fest, last year in July of 2015. Stephen James was the head of the panel, and there were several of us who were published authors. And it was about keeping your characters alive, keeping them up, keeping them exciting. And how do you do that? So he had a set of questions he asked us, and we went through and answered each one of us took a turn at each question, and it was a lot of fun. It really was.
Oh, cool. So, Peter, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience? We have, a whole county watching. Hopefully, this episode. Is there anything you want to share about locally or about your writing, about your books?
Well, the one thing I'd like to have everybody understand is that my books are available in bookstores. They're in the library. You can order them online. You get a hold of me and we'll make an arrangement somehow. But the most important part of this is that read. Just read. Enjoy. We're creating worlds out here that are phenomenal in the fiction side. And nonfiction-wise, there's information to be learned and to be gathered. As a retired teacher, I don't want anybody to ever believe that education stops. And I'm an example at this ripe old age of 67, and I'm still learning how to make publishing a book work and getting it out into the marketplace and selling the darn thing. And finding readership. It's a whole new life for me.
Mm-hmm. Finding readership after you finish your book, there's a whole new world that we all have to learn how to get your book out and in people's hands.
It's a business.
Yeah, but the nice message is really, that people read, and that's a nice closing statement.
Yep.
For this episode. We will be back next month, same date. Same weekday, and thank you, Peter, for being here.
Nice to be here.
It was a pleasure.